Welcome to Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. From the Sprint Center in Kansas City, Game 2 of our Hall of Fame Classic doubleheader here on this Monday night. And it's a good one, number 22, Baylor and Wisconsin. A couple of Sweet 16 teams from a year ago should be fun. UCLA was a Sweet 16 team last year. They go down to Creighton in our first game, 100-89. So the Jays will take on the winner of this game tomorrow night. And Baylor has 4 seniors, one of them Manu Lecomte.
Spent the summer with the Belgian national team playing against high-level competition, and he has picked up right from there. 21 points a game. He can score, he can deliver the rock, and in a league with really good point guards, he's one of the best. Manu Lecomte. And then Wisconsin revolves around the first team preseason All-American, Ethan Happ, a technician in the low post, really knows what he's doing. And the only player a year ago, Clay, who led his team in points, rebounds, scoring, blocks, and assists in conference play. He's going to be a handful for Baylor tonight. I think they're going to see a lot of zone, the Badgers.
He is Fran Fraschilla, who's in mid-season form, I might add. You will see that over the next couple of hours. I'm Clay Matvick. Ready to go here in Kansas City. Mike Roberts, Lamar Simpson, Mike Eads, our veteran officiating crew. Baylor in the black uniforms with the neon controls the opening tip.
And Wisconsin is a man-to-man team. They pack it in inside the three-point line, nothing easy, and they throw some big bodies at you.
Here's King McClure with the basketball for Baylor. Last year finished tied for second in the Big 12, made that run to the Sweet 16. Nooni Omot lost control, and there is going to be a foul on Omot as you look at Greg Gard. Third year as head coach at Wisconsin. Watched his longtime boss, Bo Ryan, go into the Hall of Fame last night, and he is 44-19 since taking over for Bo. And here's a look at that Wisconsin lineup brought to us by Zales.
And the guy to keep an eye on is Van Vliet, the young man. In fact, we've got 2 Belgians on the floor tonight because Andy Van Vliet, also a part of that Belgian national team. He's a stretch 4 who can shoot the 3. Off to a pretty good start, though he struggled against Xavier.
There's Ethan Happ. Missed the shot, loose rebound control by the Bears.
You don't see that very often. Point blank range for the youngster from the Quad Cities in Illinois.
Big Joe with the soft touch, the 7-footer. Luau Achuil knocks it down, first points of the ball game.
Well, he's known for his defensive prowess, but Big Joe can knock him down. And this is his time as Ish Wainwright and Jonathan Motley have moved on. Of course, Ish Wainwright playing tight end for the football team.
How about that? Couple of touchdowns,
yeah.
Too. There's a foul. It's going to go against King McClure, number 1 for him, as you look at Scott Drew, bench boss for the Bears, and he's in his 15th year now. What a job he has done culturing that program. It's a national power now. 7 NCAA tournaments, 4 Sweet 16s, including last year.
He is that rebuilding job. I've said it many times. If you don't remember, he took over a program that was not only on NCAA probation, but there was the murder of a player. I thought he was nuts to leave Valparaiso, where he had success in his first year, and it's one of the great rebuilding jobs in the history of college basketball.
There's Andy Van Vliet, a 7-footer from Belgium, ties this one up at 2.
Good matchup. Demetric Trice, an outstanding sophomore. His brother had great success at Michigan State, and his dad was a good player as well, and excellent high school coach.
Luau Achuil out to a great start. He's got 4.
When you think about Baylor, you think about big guys. You think of guys like Quincy Acey, Corey Jefferson, Epe Udoh, certainly last year, Motley, Isaac Austin as well.
They only go 9 deep this year.
I think I said Isaac, I meant Isaiah Austin.
Shot fake. Marvin Fritzl gets it to Happ. Shot clock winding down. 4 to shoot. Happ with that left hand. It's spun around. This time it goes in as he's able to finish around the rim.
Well, he's got a great feel inside of 5 feet. And I know he's tried to improve his perimeter shooting. And my advice to Ethan Happ is be great at what you're good at. And one thing he is really good at is scoring in the low post.
They're going to Luau Achuil early. And it's paying dividends for the Bears as the 7-footer will get to the line. Greg Gard joined Bo Ryan's staff way back in the early 90s at Wisconsin-Platteville. They won 4 Division III national championships. How much of what was Bo Ryan is in this guy's toolkit?
Quite a bit, and they're really joined at the hip. I think that Bo, when he retired in the middle of the season, the idea was to give Greg Gard a chance to show people, including Barry Alvarez, the athletic director, that he could handle the job. And he has done not only a magnificent job of coaching, but they have recruited some really good young players that fit the Wisconsin Badger mold. And we're going to see a few of those guys tonight.
Of course, Bo Ryan going into that Hall of Fame class this year. You were part of the ceremonies last night as master of ceremonies, and just a great night.
What a thrill for me. You know how much of a junkie I am, and spend time with guys like John Stockton and Tim Duncan, our own Jay Williams.
Yeah.
Congrats, Jay Will.
Jay's in studio tonight, as always, and again, yeah,
amazing.
Good for him.
Oh yeah, great player at Duke.
National champion, 2-time National Player of the Year. Clark with that foul, that's his first.
These teams played in the NCAA tournament a few years ago. And Scott Drew, I was at the film session the other night. He showed the film of the game. And the one thing that stood out is that Wisconsin knows how to control the tempo of the game on offense, because they really get the kind of shots they want. And they're getting those shots early, Clay. They're just not getting them to drop.
Yeah, Khalil Iverson can't get it to go. That doesn't go for McClure on the other end for Baylor, and Van Vliet is able to clear for the Badgers. Here's Demetric Trice. Nice drive, but he can't finish. Well, Wisconsin's got to figure this out. There's a lid on that rim right now.
It helps when you have a couple big guys like Achuil and Clark challenging inside. Watch Hap go to work. Nice.
Hap, great pass, but what a strip by Tristan Clark, the terrific freshman who doesn't look like a freshman.
No, he doesn't.
McClure, jump shot. That doesn't go. Teams have had trouble finding the bottom of the basket. 6-4, Baylor leads here early in Kansas City.
Man-to-man so far. And they're going to run this swing offense, and they simply move the ball side to side. It's a hybrid of motion. It's a hybrid of the flex offense. Wow.
Hap off the back iron.
He's never made a three-point shot.
McClure got it, but there's a foul. Charge on King McClure. So wave off the basket. It's 6-4 Baylor. We got a timeout. Wisconsin's All-American Ethan Hap now 0 for 3 from outside the arc. This was his three-point attempt moments ago. All right, Fran, if you're Greg Gard, do you want him taking this shot when he's so good around the basket?
As a guy who coached players that had some deficiencies, when a guy gives you as much as Ethan Hap gives you around the basket with the rebounding and the scoring and his energy and effort, he's a great defender as well, defensive player, you give him a little bit of a license to expand his game. So I'm okay with that. I don't want him to fall in love with the outside shooting, but this is what really matters. This guy led his team in all these categories a year ago, and in conference play, he was the only player in the country to do that. So the short answer is, because of what he means to my team, I'm going to let him expand his game a little bit, but I want him to remember where his bread is buttered, and that is scoring around the rim.
He's the only starter back from last year's Sweet 16 team. Hap and Trice the only experienced players back for Greg Gard. Wisconsin 1 of 6 from the field to start. Brad Davison, number 34, into the game for the first time for Wisconsin. We're going to be talking a lot about that young man. Shot clock winding down on King. Kobe King had it taken away by LeConte.
Great coaching adjustment by Scott Drew. Out of the timeout, they went to the zone, and Wisconsin put 3 freshmen in the lineup. Not used to seeing that kind of defense. Look at the effort right there.
Wow, he's
by
been
Big
good.
Joe.
Big Joe,
Yep.
Luau Achuil. He has 8 to start. All 8 of Baylor's points have come from the 7-footer.
A young man from Australia. Grew up in the Sudan, the war-torn part of the world. Emigrated to Australia, and he's really become a good player. Terrific. See the zone now, and watch Hap operate.
Left hand for Hap, no. And Luau Achuil is able to clear. Here comes Baylor. And Lacotte buries the three. Timeout, Wisconsin.
Big Joe, I love saying his name. Joe Luau Achuil. 7 feet tall. He can operate on the defensive end. He can score around the basket. What a start. The big fella with the mobility. Oh, that looks good.
Big Joe caught his breath. We'll see what he does out of that timeout. 11-4 Baylor with the lead. This is a rematch of the 2014 Sweet 16 in Anaheim, which Wisconsin won 69-52. Of course, Frank Kaminsky was still on the team then.
Final Four team.
It was a Final Four team. You know, this game tonight and the game earlier and the 4 teams here, it's got a Sweet 16 feel to it.
It does, and Baylor's playing that zone defense, which has been a bread and butter defense for them during this great run.
7-0 run for Baylor. They're going to try to add to it. It's going to be a blocking foul on Davison. The Maui Gym Maui Invitational. Marquette over VCU. Wichita State needed a comeback to get past Cal tonight. Notre Dame Chaminade, Michigan LSU also in that field.
And we mentioned in the first game, Bonzi Colson, he's my preseason National Player of the Year. And they've got a point guard, Matt Farrell, a fellow senior who's as quick as anybody in the country. And this guy is as quick a trigger as anybody in the country. And another assist from Jake Lindsey. You know, the last few seasons, Scott Drew has had guys like Royce O'Neal now in the NBA and Ish Wainwright, the glue guys. And Jake Lindsey is their glue guy right now.
Lindsey, 14 assists, no turnovers this year as Hap scores inside. You're right. I think Lindsey is going to be a big part of whether Baylor goes deep this year or not.
Well, he's a big cog because look at him now. He in a short-handed lineup, they only have 3 guards. He can play the point and allow Manu Lacan to score. And that's a luxury Scott Drew has because of Lindsey's cerebralness. And you know where he gets that cerebralness, right? His dad is general manager of the Utah Jazz, Dennis Lindsey, who played at Baylor.
Very smart basketball man. Jake, intellectual too, you might say. Hap is able to hang on to it as Fritzl made that pass, and Hap now maybe starting to get lathered up.
Oh, yeah. No, he's like a 350 hitter who, you know, you wouldn't expect him to make them all. But he is as good in the low post as any player in the country, and he doesn't jump high. It's all technique.
Davison tips it back out to Trice. And Davison, the freshman from Maple Grove, Minnesota, already a crowd favorite in Madtown. Aline Ford got that pass from Hap, and he knew exactly what to do with it.
And 3 freshmen on the floor right now for Greg Gard. And you like the way they've responded.
Baylor had a 10-point lead at one point. It shrunk to 4. TJ Maston in the game for the first time for Baylor. Lindsey kicks it back out to Maston, the big fella from 3. You bet.
Wow. That doesn't happen very often. 0 for 2 this season for TJ Maston. usually does his work around the basket.
He had a great NCAA tournament last year for the Bears.
He sure did.
2 rounds.
Yeah, third round didn't go as well, but you were absolutely right. Double-double.
There's Pritzel. The extra pass for Happ. He'll kick it out. Finding the open man. Pritzel wide open for 3. And Lual Achuil with another rebound. He's got 5.
How good was that ball move?
Lual Achuil for 3. The big man knocking it down from distance.
Well, he made 8 of them last season, only 33%, but it's like we said earlier, he's more than just a defensive presence. Certainly one of the best shot blockers in the Big 12 a year ago.
Well, they've got Wisconsin down 10. Ethan Happ sealed off on the baseline. Trice steps into a long 2. And Lual Achuil with the rebound. This was the #1 rebounding team in the Big 12 last year. Lindsay can't get it to go. On the backside, Maston cleaning it up. Timeout, Badgers.
Now, there's been a tradition at Baylor of outstanding big men. They just roll them off the assembly line. Big Joe Achuil from deep, knocking it down. He likes to play a game on that trip. And this year he's going to Stanford. I'm going to watch it tonight at 11:30 Eastern, I believe. Is that right?
Shocker.
And
that
yeah,
you're gonna stay and watch.
And guess who he's coaching against? Jared Haas, the coach at Stanford, who, by the way, was a star player at Kansas, coached by Roy Williams. So we'll have a little Kansas flavor. And who went into the Hall of Fame yesterday? Scott May. His son Sean, who was an outstanding player for North Carolina, now the director of operations. He was here, and he caught an early flight today to Palo Alto. That zone has been a nuisance, and of course it usually is.
Davison misses off the lip. It's an 8-0 run for Baylor after Wisconsin pulled it within 4 at 14-10. Here's Lindsay. Spits it outside. Vital misses his first shot attempt tonight. 1 and done for the Bears.
That is not Mark Vital's strength. He's now 0 for 4 in the season, and he is a tremendous athlete. And he has to play in the backcourt because they are shorthanded with a transfer, and then Tyson Chaley in injury. They hope to have him back second half of the year.
Davison with it in his hands with 5 to shoot. Drives. That's going to be a foul on LeConte.
And you mentioned Brad Davison. This young man was a great high school quarterback. And I know you live in the Minneapolis area.
The Maple Grove Crimson.
There you go. 68 touchdowns in his career.
He is not shy. He is very vocal, more so than the average freshman. I have a feeling that he's going to make some Big Ten opponents
I think it's going to be
mad.
He's going to be fun when he goes back to Williams Arena, which they're not going to do this year. Road game in Minneapolis not on their schedule.
He's a good three-point shooter. Wisconsin hasn't shot it well from outside as of yet. 0 for 4. Maybe that changes now. You bet.
Nice call there, Blake Matvick. You know, when you talk about those tough, feisty guards, Brust and Gosser, he certainly fits that bill.
Davison already getting starter minutes for Greg Gard. He's going to have a big future. And there's another reason why. Did you see that off the turnover? He pumps his fist. I mean, this kid gets into it. And the other night at the Kohl Center, it was a loss to Xavier, but he was on the floor in the second half taking critical shots. He was in the game at big moments. You don't see that from the average freshman.
I completely agree. And they went on a trip to Australia and New Zealand this summer. He had 23 in one of those games, and it was clear then, back in August, that Greg Gard had somebody special.
Clark with that foul. That's his second already, so Clark has 2. McClure has 2 for Baylor. Nice reverse by the All-American Ethan Happ.
And a really good pass by Khalil Iverson. Last year, when they dismantled Syracuse at home, it was Nigel Hayes in the middle of that zone. And Iverson has that same bulk and toughness. Really good dime dropper right there.
Lindsay, a three, step back into it. Iverson clears the rebound on the backside. He gets up off the floor. Khalil Iverson so easily.
He does. And there's Van Vliet, and he's a guy that they need to make some shots.
Now McClure in transition. He'll slow it up and wait for reinforcements. Baylor leading by 7, 8 minutes to go. First half.
That's what he does.
Vidal, who has YouTube videos of him doing things like that, going airborne.
That's what he does. And remember what I said, be great at what you're good at. Forget the three. How about throwing it down on someone?
Fran, break down Baylor's zone for us.
Well, it starts out as a 1-1-3 when the ball is out top. Let's just show it. So right here, we're going to show you how it looks like a 1-1-3 on the chalkboard. You see the turnover. Now here's what we got right here when we show it. There's the 1-1-3. When the ball goes to a wing, this forward will stay here until the guard goes over and this guard goes down. The forward will back up, the other forward will back up, and what you have really is a 2-3 zone, but it starts out looking like a 1-3-1 zone, and oftentimes, even the analysts don't know what the defense is in, and the other coaches don't know what the defense is in, and the other players don't know what the defense is in, but it's a really, really good defense.
Mark Vidal's at the line for Baylor. You know, Scott Drew has matured too as a head coach over the years. You touched on a little bit. I mean, and what he's done with this program, got the team its first #1 ranking last year, program history. Sent a bunch of guys to the NBA. Of course, his dad, Homer Drew, a great coach. Brother Bryce, second year at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and when you think about Scott Drew's success, yes, they've had a couple of McDonald's All-Americans, but by and large, these players have been self-made. You think of Quincy Acee originally, look how good he's around the basket.
And that's going to be a foul on Baylor underneath. Iverson's going to go to the line.
But you see very few transfers out of Baylor. You see guys like Corey Jefferson willing to redshirt and then go on to the NBA. Jonathan Motley, who was the best big man in the Big 12 last year, was also a redshirt. And there's a spirit inside the program that you have to feel and be at practice and film sessions. And let me be honest, when Scott Drew took over at Baylor, Clay, a lot of coaches in the Big 12 that didn't like him, and he might have been a little bit brash or perceived to be. Baylor was 2 wins a year given, basically, for a long, long time in the Big 8, Big 12, Big 12.
Not anymore.
No. And he's got great respect now, I think, among the coaching community.
Well, Iverson missed both free throws. Wisconsin shot 64% from the line last year, next to last in the Big 10. That's something they're going to have to figure out this year.
They will, and a lot of it is because Ethan Happ shoots 50% from the line, and he gets fouled a lot.
Well, John thought about the three over the defense of Davison. Look at that move! The 7-footer is doing it all tonight. Luala Achuil now with 13.
That's a great example of what we talked about skill development. You see now it drops back to a 2-3, and then it morphs back. And where the ball goes determines how the defense aligns.
Happ, he is so good at that move.
And another really good look by Khalil Iverson, because the little sweet spot in that zone, and they found it twice, is right there in the elbow area. When you bring those forwards out like they do, it opens up the baseline.
Lacan got it. He wanted the foul to boot, no whistle. But 3 on the board for Baylor. It's now 28-17, the lead to 11. Manu Lacan grew up speaking French, but he sounds like he grew up right here in Kansas City. No detectable accent as Iverson is fouled. Well, that's going to be a foul, actually, or a traveling call, excuse me, and Wisconsin turns it over.
We talk about developing the big guys. We've seen Joe scoring inside, hitting a 3, and then how about that 7-footer? And watch the catch and shoot right here. Good challenge at the end. Manu wanted the foul. One of the big things, I think, is to protect the shooter. The officials felt that there wasn't enough contact. In the NBA now, that would have been a flagrant foul because you got to give the offensive player room to come down. They don't want people landing on anybody's feet anymore. That's the Zaza Pachulia rule.
TJ Maston having a good first half here. Sometimes, Fran, you just don't know what you're going to get from TJ.
If you look in the dictionary under enigmatic, you'll see his picture because he can be brilliant at times and sometimes disinterested, but he really is a good offensive player.
Trice, skip pass. Pritzel did a good job drawing that foul. And that's going to be number 2 on Omot. Bad Boys Mowers battle for Atlantis. Starting Wednesday in the Bahamas. Arizona, number 2 in the country this week. They're there. Villanova also there. They're a couple of the headliners. A combined 16 Final Four appearances and 5 national championships among the field.
Some really good, outstanding players as well. Shake Milton from SMU is a terrific guard, a junior for Tim Jankovic.
You see some of the tournaments going on during Feast Week. You're going to be in Orlando next. I mean, you're the busiest man in show business.
You know, 12 games in 14 days. You don't think I'm excited?
And you're able to get around now because of your hip surgery.
I feel great.
You feel good?
Yeah.
Great to hear.
I've been preparing for this run all fall.
Luau Achuil had it rejected, but Maston cleaning up on the backside.
I'm telling you, when he's motivated, he's really hard to guard. The Big 12 has a lot of trouble with TJ Maston guarding him. And you see, Scott Drew played man-to-man the first 4 minutes of this game, almost lulling Wisconsin to sleep, and that zone's been pretty good.
What a pass from Happ to Pritzel.
Absolutely.
Happ had 8 assists against Xavier.
And actually, this is why he needs to stay in the low post as much as possible. I know you want to expand your game, show the NBA scouts, but he's so good at what he does.
Nuni Omot attacking. That's going to be a blocking foul against Davison.
How good a story is Nuni Omot? Growing up in the Minneapolis area, right? Goes to a small college in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, he was born in Kenya, but grew up in St. Paul.
Yep.
And he's found his way to Baylor after a stop at JC.
Yeah,
and he is exactly, you know, how you would expect a frontline player in recent years at Baylor to look.
Absolutely. Athletic, long, perfect for the zone. He had that dunk on SportsCenter last week. That was one of the dunks of the preseason, early season, I should say.
He's 23 years old. He's one of the older players in college basketball this year. 33-21, Baylor leading with 4:27 to go here in the first half. This is quite a contrast, Fran, from the game we had earlier here tonight, where Creighton and UCLA met, and that was a track meet. Creighton put up 100 in getting the win over UCLA.
Exactly, and in this game, Wisconsin likes to control the tempo of the game with their offense, and by design, the Baylor zone, which needs a lot of time to decipher, slows you down as well, and that's why the pace is the pace we have.
Greg Gard thinking about how he's going to get his team back down a dozen here.
See that 1-1-3 right now, and it's going to morph. Those big guys will drop to the back line. The guards will stay high. But watch the corner, the baseline is open, and that's where Happ has really operated.
Alex Illikainen in the game now for Wisconsin, number 25. Trice hits the 3, and maybe that will spark Bucky to come back here.
Typical, you think of Jordan Taylor, you think of Trey Jackson, and Dimitri Trice didn't have a lot of offers coming out of high school. Played for his dad in the Dayton area, went to IMG Academy.
Reverse by Big Joe, not this time, and Happ is able to corral it. Pritzel. And Iverson with the two-hand dunk on the feed from Ethan Happ.
So what's the theme right now for Wisconsin? Getting the ball into that elbow area and finding the cutter along the baseline. That time, Hap to Iverson.
Timeout, Baylor.
They found the openings in that zone. Watch Hap right in the middle, drops off the bounce pass, and Iverson giving it back and throwing it down.
And back to you guys.
All right, thanks, guys. You like Landry Shamet at Wichita State. You directed him in the Under Armour All-America camp. He's a Kansas City native.
He is, and he's a terrific point guard. And he missed most of the preseason with a stress fracture that he actually injured at our camp. We had Bonzie Colson, Matt Farrell, Ethan Happ, and that Wichita State team still without Marcus McDuffie, another one of their stars, but they're going into the American Athletic Conference this year.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, SMU.
You like
Houston.
that move?
Oh, yes, yes. It's going to be a really good basketball league when UConn and Memphis bounce back. UCF, Johnny Dawkins, that's an offensive foul.
Yep.
Yep.
Throwing the elbow,
Yep.
TJ Maston, and he's going to be called for the personal, and pretty obvious.
It was, and that's what he's got to maintain composure. Pritzel reached in, Maston was frustrated, and he extended the arm, and he's got to maintain his composure. Now, they could look at this and say it's, go see if it's a flagrant one, but they're going to call it a common foul.
You know, we talked about, what he is capable of. We saw that at the national tournament last year, 19 points, 9 rebounds in the first 2 rounds. In each game, he was able to deliver that. And he's given Scott Drew pretty good minutes here early.
Without a question. And they don't start him because they use him as an X factor off the bench. And you're right. You can see what he can do.
Rice had that 3 moments ago that kind of sparked Wisconsin. Now here's Happ going against Achuil. They work it back on the perimeter. Great extra pass there to Iverson, but he can't finish around the rim. We've said that a lot for the Badgers tonight.
Partly because Big Joe was there and he snatched that rebound down.
McClure drives, switch to the right hand, and that one rolls off. Now a Baylor foul. It's on Maston.
And that's one of those plays where when the team secures the rebound, let it go and get back. And that's another foul. Scott Drew's got a decision to make with 2:11 right now. Just a little bit of frustration by TJ Maston, and they're going to get Jake Lindsey back in there.
So Wisconsin shooting 2 now, 10th team foul on Baylor. And Illikainen misses the free throw. Alex Illikainen, product of Brewster Academy. He's from Grand Rapids, Minnesota, but played at Brewster.
Yeah, great prep school. Guy named Devontae Graham hasn't been bad. Jason Smith, the coach up there. He's got a lot of guys in the NBA, a lot of guys playing in college. In Wolfboro, New Hampshire. Beautiful location. Never want to see the leaves change in the fall. Take the wife up there. I can actually call Coach Smith for you. Set it up. Get you a nice little bed and bread and breakfast.
You could work for the Chamber of Commerce up there.
Bed and breakfast, if I could say it, bed and breakfast. Absolutely. Oh, they got it. Prep schools are great for some of these young men because they mature, they get away from home. They're really well coached. There's some great schools up there. Northfield, Mount Herman, Brewster Academy, so many of them.
He's into all of them. Todd kicks it out. Tristan Clark, the rookie, missed badly.
That's not what I would do right there if I were the rookie.
True freshman from San Antonio has been impressive in the early season. Hasn't scored here tonight. He is a physical presence for Baylor. Here's Wisconsin with it. They're down 7. Over 90 seconds to go in this first half. There's Happ with the right hand. Again, that ball was redirected.
And Scott Drew wanted a foul because he felt it was the same kind of contact on the other end and he was not happy. I think Baylor's going to have to make an adjustment at halftime because they cannot let the ball go in the middle of that zone as easily as they've let it in there.
Under 10 to shoot. Lindsey goes around the horn.
He's going to shoot that, Joe.
Wide open. Big Joe again hits it. His second 3 tonight.
And that was almost by necessity because the clock was running down and Lindsey dragged 2 defenders with him. And let me just tell you, this is player development right here. This is what Baylor does so well with their big guys.
Loose ball. Baylor's got it. LeConte ahead to Clark. Look out.
And let me tell you, that guy in a year is going to be a monster.
He's a monster now.
Well, he'll develop even more because we've seen this movie many times.
Luau Achuil with the steal. Shot clock is off. Baylor can take the last shot. The lead is 12 for the Bears.
Look for some high pick and roll right here. See if it's Big Joe maybe, or do you just take him off the dribble? I like it.
Happ's hoist. And our first half comes to an end. Baylor pretty much controlled that entire half.
They did a really good job on the offensive end. They need to keep it out of the post, but 12-point lead, Scott Drew will take that going into the locker room.
Now our halftime report, John Brickley, Seth Greenberg, and the Hall of Famer, Jay Williams. Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Back at the Hall of Fame Classic in downtown Kansas City, the Sprint Center. Clay Matvick, Fran Fraschilla, 38-26. Baylor leading as we get ready to go here in the second half. And Big Joe, Luau Achuil, 16 points in the first half.
He started every game of his Baylor career since he transferred from junior college. He took a back seat to John Motley a year ago. Prowess on the defensive end, now showing the offensive arsenal. Inside, outside. I mean, that's 7 feet tall right there. And we've seen him put it on the floor as well. Impressive first half for the youngster from Melbourne, Australia. Of course, he was born in the South Sudan. Didn't own a winter coat until he came to junior college in Kansas at the ocean.
And it's not much warmer in Waco in the wintertime.
It's not too bad down there.
A lot of wind. 8 rebounds. And he also went 2 for 2 from the three-point line. We're going to have to keep an eye on him here in the second half and see how far over his career high he goes. It's 17, and it's without a doubt that he's going to break that tonight the way he's going.
Now, I mentioned this at the end of the half. Wisconsin did a really good job of getting the ball into the middle of the zone, the elbow area. A lot of times what Baylor will do is, and they're going to go man-to-man, and they did this to start the game, and then they switched the zone. So let's see how long they stay man-to-man.
Ethan Happ, an elbow. It's going to be a foul against Happ, the All-American, through the elbow and the shoulder there, and he's called for the offensive foul.
And I thought Joe did a good job of holding his ground. They ran that swing offense, which allows Happ to pop out and then work his way from out to in. And good positioning by Joe.
That's the first foul on Ethan Happ. He had 10 points, 2 rebounds in the first half for Wisconsin. Baylor shot 56% in the first half. They led for 18.5 minutes of the second half. They've never trailed in this game. There's Luau Achuil, left it a little short that time.
Remember, Wisconsin likes to use the clock and get a great shot. They don't mind running it down, and I think they're back to the zone after one possession.
Happ had some real estate, decides to pass it to Pritzel, and it spins out. Loose ball, corralled by LeConte. Manu LeConte to Big Joe, and it rejected, and then Ethan Happ takes it away.
And one thing we haven't talked about tonight is Ethan Happ is an outstanding defensive player.
Happ, nice feed from Demetric Trice. That's what Trice can do. He was quiet offensively in the first half, but he's a good floor general.
He is a steady point guard. He can make shots. He runs that swing offense. He's a coach's son, and he plays like it.
Hit a three-pointer in the first half. Of course, led the team in three-point shooting last year as a freshman at 42%. McClure left it short. Clark gets a couple of cracks at it, and finally is able to stick it in there.
Well, you mentioned that body for a freshman. He was a player of the year in Texas in his division out of San Antonio. He played at a school that's produced a couple of NBA players. Andre Robertson and Gordon Clarkson. Look at that pass. Wow.
LeConte to Nuni Amat.
Nice finish by Amat, too. In traffic, used the left hand.
First field goaler for the 6'9" senior from Matamidi, Minnesota. Biggest lead for Baylor.
Can I tell you something that I used to tell my team?
Yeah.
The most important part of the game are the first 3 minutes of the second half.
And right now it's all Baylor.
I never liked. We used to practice the first 3 minutes of the second half. You go, how do you practice that? When you have a 12-point lead, you got to step on the opponent's throat.
Yeah.
You take it to the basket, you box out hard, you cut hard, and you move hard. Because the worst thing in the world for a coach is to have a 12-point lead, you come out, you're lackadaisical, all of a sudden it's a 2-point game. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Everything you say.
I just want to run that by you. But it's a mindset to start the second half is the point.
Well, it's been a good start for Baylor. Tristan Clark. Missed that shot. Here comes Happ in transition. He'll spin it over to Davison, who's back in first minutes of the second half for the freshman. 7 turnovers for Wisconsin, 3 in the first 2.5 minutes of the second half. They're trying to settle down here and find some rhythm in the Badgers offense.
And in that zone, they got to get it right there. Let Happ be the playmaker.
Happ with the left hand, no. That's what happened the first couple of shots he took in the first half. But then he found it.
He's confident in that offhand, isn't it? Isn't he? And he really doesn't have an offhand inside.
Right.
He can score over either shoulder.
Challenging non-conference schedule for Wisconsin this year. Big Ten play starts early in December, so Greg Gard trying to figure some things out against this tough schedule. And LeConte will go to the free throw line.
This is a young man, as you know, played at Miami for 2 years. He transferred to Baylor. He wanted to get out of the shadow of Angel Rodriguez, the terrific point guard who transferred from Kansas State to Miami. And he probably doesn't get the credit that the Devontae Grahams or last year Monte Morris or Javon Carter at West Virginia this year gets. I saw him play with Miami at Duke, and they carved Duke up. One of Duke's really bad in-conference losses in recent years, and he was outstanding. It was the year Jahlil Okafor was a freshman. In fact, it was the year they won the national title. He is a good player.
And a good free throw shooter, too. 83% last year. Got 1 of 2. The lead goes to 43-28 Baylor as LeConte's going to take a block.
So if he's 1 for 2, does that make his first miss of the season?
Indeed.
Is he now 19 of 20 on the season? So he's shooting 95% from the foul line. There's that zone.
And the math at mid-season for you are unbelievable.
Thanks to Sister Eileen Marie, my 3rd grade math teacher.
Happ is fouled.
I have a future as a statistician.
Maston called for the personal. That's the 3rd on TJ Maston, but everything else going pretty well for Baylor here in Kansas City. Fran was the master's ceremonies at last night's induction ceremonies, and this is the new class 2017. Tim Duncan, Bo Ryan, the legendary Wisconsin coach, among the inductees as well. Jay Williams. There's a connection between Tim Duncan and Wisconsin freshman Kobe King, Fran.
That's right. Kobe King played his basketball in lacrosse, Wisconsin. He was the Wisconsin Player of the Year. His dad, Chris King, was an outstanding player at Wake Forest University, a little bit of time in the NBA. And Chris King went on a college all-star tour of the Virgin Islands. He came back and he told his coach, Dave Odom, there's a big kid in the Virgin Islands I think you need to go see. And that young man's name was Tim Duncan. So Kobe, it's, what is it, 2 degrees of separation between Kobe King
Just 2.
and there's his dad, Chris. And I asked him about that story, and he said, absolutely. Chris was a big reason why I eventually ended up at Wake Forest. And how about that? Kobe King on the floor tonight. The connection to Tim Duncan. Basketball is a small world, Clay Matthew.
It really is.
Yep.
And you know everybody in it.
Hey, They don't all know me.
Ethan Happ, always dangerous with the ball in his hands, made a move and drew a contact foul. And Kobe King is a good-looking true freshman. There are a couple of really impressive physical rookies. Tristan Clark for Baylor, we talked about him.
Yeah.
Kobe King for Wisconsin. 6'4", 203 pounds.
He's perfect for the swing offense, he and Davison, because they can both play outside and in. And he's getting some minutes. You know, he's playing double-digit minutes. He will be a really good player. He was in the weight room this afternoon about 5 hours before the game. Wisconsin had all their redshirt players in the weight room working out. And the development program here is outstanding.
King had it rejected inside, and Baylor will sprint back the other way. Well, King had a couple of cracks at scoring there, but Badgers are still down 14 under 15 to go. Maston off the bounce pass, and Happ will swat it out of bounds.
I was getting a little workout today, and who did I see in the weight room but the Wisconsin redshirts? Some really good young guys here. You see them. It's not bad for a hotel weight room.
I was going to say, that's the hotel weight room?
Yeah.
And I don't know because I wasn't.
Now they have Eric Helen is one of the best strength coaches in the country. He was with the Chicago Bulls for many years as part of their strength and conditioning program. And at Wisconsin, like it is at many schools, they're not going to get the top 20 guys. So their development program through the years, you think of Dick Bennett.
Oh, Lomont kept it in the front court.
Dick Bennett, Bo Ryan, now Greg Gard, Stu Jackson before that.
Kant steps into that long jumper. Lindsay gets the rebound, the extra pass, and it pays off. Tristan Clark kisses it off the window.
How impressive is he looking, and how is he going to be? It's an amazing pipeline of big guys that Baylor develops every year. Back to the zone now. And watch Iverson and Happ in the middle.
We call Happ the nail in this offense, but he passes to Ford on the baseline. He was the open man. And it's 45-31.
And speaking of development, Aleem Ford is a perfect example. He redshirted a year ago, and he's playing a lot of minutes. He was a high school teammate at IMG Academy of Trice. And in recruiting Trice, they found Ford.
We were talking about Eric, the trainer at Wisconsin, doing such a great job. As Davison is holding his shoulder now.
This guy is one of the best in the business.
You
Chicago
should call
Bulls.
him a strength and conditioning coach, not a trainer.
Let me tell you something. You should have seen him work out.
I bet.
He was demonstrating in the hotel weight room, and very impressive. But that's what you have to do, develop. And it looks like they're holding Davison's shoulder right now, and that's not a good sign.
They're going to take him past the end of the bench and all the way to the locker room, it looks like, as you see what happened to Brad Davison, the 6'3" freshman from Minnesota, goes down clutching that left arm.
Yeah. I'm not going to speculate, but taking him back to the locker room is probably a wise move. And that's a tough kid, as you know. You know he was one of the top players in the state of Minnesota last year on the gridiron and on the basketball court.
Greg Gard likes former high school quarterbacks. Dimitri Trice is one. And we were talking a little bit about that at shoot-around yesterday. You know, he likes, because so much of what happens on the football field really translates to being a guard at the basketball.
Leadership for sure, toughness without a doubt, you know, cerebralness, no doubt.
Well, we hope Davison's going to be all right. Wisconsin's going to need him this year.
You see how Baylor's done a much better job of taking away the high post area, but that leaves the baseline a little bit more insecure defensively. But an adjustment at halftime, like we talked about.
Alley-oop, and Big Joe throws it down as LeConte fed him perfectly.
Great dime. Watch the screen by Joe, and watch his man help a little bit. He just rolls to the rim. He's got a 2-on-1 right now. No backside help. And really smart play. Watch Omot. I don't know if Omot's going to come into your picture. He does. When he comes out of the corner, his man comes with him, and that means there's nobody home to help on the roll man. And Big Joe, is that a career high?
Yeah, he's got 18 now.
Take a look now. Omot's man is supposed to stay home, Iverson. He leaves, and he doesn't tag the roll guy, runs right by him. And that gives him a free run to the basket. Great pick and roll acumen right there by Mono LeConte.
Lindsey's going to pick up the personal for Baylor. That's his second. Baylor has Maston and Omot with 3 fouls now. Achuil, a career high, as Fran mentioned, 18 points. Also has 9 rebounds. He's just been great all the way around tonight for the Baylor Bears.
And a few scares. You know, he's around the rim and he's scaring those guys even when he doesn't block it.
Yeah, that shock value near the basket has made it hard to shoot around the rim for Wisconsin tonight.
Well, that's a good look.
Another good pass. Achuil can't finish that time. But Baylor has really been good moving the basketball tonight. Answering back, Pritzl. Maybe that'll spark Wisconsin.
Brevin Pritzl is a third-year sophomore, and if anything tonight in the first half, I thought he was too reticent to put open shots up. And those kind of shots, anyway, guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Mr. Davison. Davison back out of the locker room. Sits down on the Wisconsin bench. That is good news for the Badgers. The Maui Invitational. Fran, Wichita State was able to get past Cal. Going to play Marquette tomorrow afternoon on ESPN. Other teams, Notre Dame, Chaminade, Michigan, and LSU.
Do you remember when Chaminade?
Absolutely.
Remember they beat? There you see Brad Davison. Yep. They actually didn't beat him in Maui. They beat him in Honolulu.
Virginia.
And I think because
Ralph Sampson.
Yep, absolutely. They were #1 in the country coming back from Japan. And that obviously spurred the idea of playing a tournament in Hawaii, and hence the Maui Classic was born.
I was about 10 at that time. You were about 45, I was.
I've been in the Maui Classic a couple times. I've actually been on teams that lost to Chaminade.
Iverson keeps it alive on the baseline, finds Trice at the point. Now that three way off the mark for Dimitri Trice.
Yeah, that's unlike him. The shot fake was great. Oh, strong.
Oh, Iverson was right there to slap it away and couldn't.
Strong. King McClure, the valedictorian of AAA Academy. Really good high school player in the Dallas area. I've been watching him since about 7th grade.
That's a block on Big Joe against Ethan Happ. We have a timeout here in Kansas City. It's been Baylor leading since the opening tip.
Yeah, we've been talking about guys that look like football players. King McClure, that's a linebacker's body masquerading as a two-guard.
Vote. In behalf of the department and Badger fans everywhere, we want to congratulate you for being inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame.
32 years, 747 wins, and 19 championships. Thanks for leaving so many programs tradition-rich and making us all Wisconsin proud.
Representing all your former players, thank you for all the life lessons you taught us on and off the court. Congrats on the well-deserved honor of being inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Clay and Fran back here courtside in Kansas City at the Sprint Center, where we saw a terrific first game here tonight. Creighton over UCLA 100-89. It was like an NBA game at times. Yep. So the Blue Jays will meet the winner of this one tomorrow night on ESPN2.
A lot of fun. We expected an up-tempo game. It's exactly what we got. Marcus Foster with 23, and that young man moments ago, Mitch Ballack, who grew up about 40 miles from the Sprint Center, with his career high 22. The freshman was absolutely outstanding.
Baylor has controlled this game since the early minutes. McClure.
Nice play by Maston.
Got it out to LeConte for three. where they're dominating the boards. Another second chance, and that is vital.
I've always thought that this young man would be a great football player. He's such a great athlete, but you see him use that athleticism on the offensive glass.
They call him Baby Rico in Louisiana. I don't know if he actually looks like Rico Gathers did, who was also from Louisiana, but that's what they call him.
Well, we're going to, you know, Holly Rowe, Brent Musburg, and I started a company called Tight Ends Incorporated. We find basketball players, and we help put them in the NBA, and we've done it already with Rico Gathers.
Davison,
yep.
Look out. If he gets hot, that could change things.
Ish Wainwright, and at some point in time, we're going to call on Mark Vital and see if he wants our services. Because he is built like a football player, but a high-energy athlete.
No, he could be your prototype, really.
Yeah. And he was the player of the year in the state of Louisiana, like Rico. And I love this kid's toughness, man. I do.
Well, he was in the locker room only 5 minutes ago.
I didn't want to say anything about the shoulder, but I was worried. And I think what they probably, I don't even want to speculate. I'm sure we'll hear about it after the game. But somebody did something miraculous. Let's put it that way.
Well, he's back in there now. And Big Joe is fouled, so he'll go to the foul line. But, you know, maybe Wisconsin will be giving thanks that it wasn't a serious injury to this freshman. We talked about it before, Fran. This is a guy, even though he is wet behind the ears from an experience standpoint, he's got some veteran skills when it comes to leadership and just playing ability.
No, they already love him in Madison. I saw them play Yale last Sunday night, and there you see him moving that shoulder around. But when you think of guys like Josh Gosser and Ben Brust and so many of those tough, hard-nosed guards.
5th career double-double for Achuil.
You mentioned he started every game since he arrived from Neosho County Community College right here, not far and across the Missouri River in the state of Kansas.
And with Kanan back in there, good pass. Iverson hemmed in along that baseline, and he is going to be fouled by Baylor. That will go against Vital. His first. So Iverson's going to go to the foul line. And he was not good at the stripe either last year. You talked about Happ's struggles at the stripe. Iverson wasn't much better last year.
Khalil's one of those guys. He's from the Columbus, Ohio area. And what he really is a small power forward. You know, I think the design was to make him a small forward. But he's really a mini Nigel Hayes in some ways. He's a little better athlete in terms of run and jump, high to the ceiling type athleticism, but he's got toughness. He had a career game against Yale. I was really impressed. He can put it on the floor against bigs. He can post you up in the swing offense.
And they need him to score.
And that's right. And I think that's a key for Wisconsin this year. Who's the second and third scorers going to be when that guy's on the bench?
And Happ is now. They lost Koenig, Hayes, Showalter, Brown. They're 4 seniors from last year. 62% of their scoring.
Yeah, and an amazing legacy left behind by those guys.
How about the hook shot from Achuil? We hadn't seen that yet, but he's got that in his arsenal too.
We've seen everything else offensively, right? Back to the zone. Again, Baylor with the adjustment. They're using those guards a little more in the elbow area. Giving up the short corner.
Iverson fumbled it, got it back.
You see where Lindsey was on that cut? Right there in Iverson's way.
Davison trying to clear some room with his body and did. Backs into a 3. And that's his second here in the last 4 or 5 trips. He's shaking that arm out. But the spirit is there for this freshman. Maybe he can will Wisconsin back.
Toughness.
Drew calls a timeout.
When I was coaching, I'm on the sideline. We're trying to make a comeback. And I got a freshman and I go, no, 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 no. Don't. Great shot. Great shot, Brad. Way to go.
Greg Gard working that Wisconsin huddle. It's a great system at Wisconsin. They develop players to that system. This is the third year for Greg, second full season. What's he talking about in there, Fred?
Well, he wants them to know, and he's making some adjustments, but he wants them to know there's 9 minutes to go. There's gonna be 30 more possessions in the game. We're gonna get 15 more offensive possessions. We don't have to get it all back on a 12-point play. Let's get some stops, and let's be really good about our ball movement. Let's work through Ethan, and when you have an open shot, let's take the shot. But making sure they understand that 9 minutes is a lifetime.
LeConte got it off on the baseline just ahead of the shot clock.
Now, on the other hand, you got to guard somebody, and that is a big shot because it stymied some of that Badger momentum. And what do you expect from a senior point guard? I'm trying to get people around the country to understand what this kid means to Baylor. He is a very underrated point guard.
The Big 12 knows very well. Happ got a second chance, goes to the other side of the rim. Iverson sails in, trying to help out. What an effort by Khalil Iverson.
Exactly how he needs to play. Use that athleticism and energy on the glass and playing around the basket.
We go under 8 minutes to play. Wisconsin hanging around, down a dozen, but they've trailed by as many as 19 and have never led. Davison on the baseline. Fouled, and with 7:52 to go, we've got a timeout here in Kansas City.
Wisconsin basketball under Dick Bennett, Bo Ryan, Stu Jackson, always been known for persistency. Under Greg Gard, nothing's changed. Khalil Iverson with the effort.
It's one of the many tournaments going on here before Thanksgiving and during Thanksgiving. You're going to be in Orlando coming up this weekend, the Advocare Invitational. That's where Missouri is. Michael Porter, the star freshman for the Tigers, he's been dinged up, a leg injury, and that could really be a problem for Missouri going forward.
It is the most mysterious story in college basketball right now. He did not play again tonight. He went to see a specialist. They squeezed by Division II Emporia State, 67-62. Michael Porter Jr., you know, all the mock drafts have him top 5. Very perplexing. Anxious to get to Orlando and find out the deal.
Here come the Badger fans. Wisconsin within 10, trailed by 19 here in the second half. Nunio Mott for Baylor. That's going to be a reach-in foul and a lean forward, I believe. No, it's Davison. That's their third on Brad.
Remember what we said that couple timeouts ago. Greg Gard's got to make sure his team knows there's a lot of possessions left, but you have to get stops.
So Baylor now in the bonus. Teams at the foul line the rest of the way.
And Iverson guarding Manu LeConte, so that's an interesting matchup right there. Can he drive him off the screens?
Well, he did, but he's unable to get the shot to go. And then LeConte is called for the foul.
And a silly foul by the senior because Bears over the limit. Take a look right here. He gets the floater almost to go. You see Iverson stay with it, and then a little reach in from behind. And silly foul only if Iverson converts a couple here.
He's 2 for 4 at the line tonight. Again, this is not a strong suit for Khalil.
Right. This is, you know, when I was coaching my team, Clay, we would talk about possession games and comeback games. This is still a possession game. You don't have to foul, you don't have to press, you just need to get stops in a possession game. At some point, if they're down 10, they'll be in a comeback game with 2 or 3 to go, but they need stops on this end.
Well, they've got it to single digits now. Tristan Clark got it to the rim. Wisconsin with the rebound. Here come the Badgers. Still a lot of time to go in this basketball game.
Baylor sits back in the zone. So keep your eye on Happ, maybe Iverson in the post. They're running man-to-man offense now. And, excuse me, Aleem Ford is in that post area.
And Ford tipped away. 8 seconds to shoot. Ethan Happ has been quiet here in the second half. He had 10, Fran, in the first half, just 2 points here since the break.
Yeah, and again, we talked about it at halftime. They needed to do a better job of having him keep the ball in the middle. Gotta shoot it.
Ford, Happ the rebound and the stick back with the left hand.
Boy, so good. He did a great job of carving out low post stiff space and finishing with the left hand, which is just as good as the right hand.
A 7-0 run for the Badgers. Luau Achuil. No. Happ and the Badgers running. Good pass ahead. Trying to flush it was Iverson. Couldn't finish.
A lot of challenges at the rim that time. That's an offensive foul.
You bet it is. And Trice took it like a champ.
Absolutely, and right now, Baylor a little bit out of sorts offensively. They've had some shots go in and out, tough breaks, but you cannot lose your offensive composure.
He's going to bring Jake Lindsey back into the ballgame. Scott Drew will take LeConte out, who now has 3 personal fouls.
Just gives him a chance to catch his breath. Lindsey and King McClure, I'm looking at them. They were part of an incredible comeback last year at the Battle for Atlantis against Louisville.
Fritzl for 3. Davison comes out of the pile with it.
Great effort by Aleem Ford, the redshirt freshman.
Happ rejected as Davison was right there, and it was spit back out by the Baylor Bears.
Settle down if you're Baylor. McClure with a good decision right here.
15-3 run by Wisconsin since Baylor had a 19-point lead. McClure for 3. The stop back by Amat, no, and a foul. And Nuni Amat is thrown to the deck.
Good possession. They took their time. They got the ball reversed, got a good open look, and then Amat and Clark pounded the glass.
And it'll be Tristan Clark at the free throw line. Baylor tonight at the foul line, 8 of 13, and they miss here with Tristan Clark.
Came into tonight 1 for 3.
So Baylor shooting 57% at the line. We talked about Wisconsin's woes at the line, and it hasn't been a great night for them. They're at 62%. But Baylor hurting themselves right now.
And missed free throws are like invisible turnovers.
They get 1 of 2 from Clark. 57-49. Scott Drew hoping his Bears can hang on here tonight as Wisconsin finally making a run in this ballgame.
And again, finding Happ in the middle has been pretty successful. And now they're going to work Iverson in there as well.
Davison goes to the baseline. Great pass for Happ on the other side of the 10.
Terrific job, because Happ got inside of the backside defender and created the seal.
Here come the Badger fans again. Quite a few of them here tonight in Kansas City. Lindsey goes around the horn. It rolls out, tipped up. Happ comes down with it.
Davison gets an open look. You know he's shooting it.
No doubt about it.
It's got to be a good one. He will let it go.
Ford finds Happ, 10 to shoot. Here's Fritzl for 3. Wow, Ethan Happ in midair, right off the window.
Well, they're treating the missed shot like a pass to Ethan Happ.
The Badgers have come roaring back, down 19, now it's only 4.
Watch him seal inside, gets inside of Maston, And then missed shot. Well, that's just a pass to me. I know what to do with it. This is why this young man is an All-American. You're seeing it live.
And looking to build on his performance against LSU. We'll have that coming up. Back to you guys.
A 19-4 Wisconsin run. Omot from the corner for Baylor can't connect, but Maston is able to get the rebound, and he draws the foul from Pritzel. Second on Brevin Pritzel.
Down the stretch now, both teams in the bonus, so TJ Maston will go to the foul line. Good effort on the backboards. We've seen a good effort from TJ Maston in the second half.
The 1-and-1 doesn't get the first. Rebound comes down, and it's going to belong to Baylor as McClure and Happ, a couple of number 22s, were battling for it. And it's going to belong to the Bears. And the important aspect is not only possession, shot clock at 30. They can get it out, run some clock. LeConte had it deflected by Pritzel. But how about this Wisconsin comeback? They have never led in this basketball. Trailed by as many as 19. They are fired up about that football team in Madison.
Yes, they are.
But this basketball team, you can tell there is some fight. There are some players who are mature beyond their years. They're going to be better than 7th, which is what they were picked in the Big Ten. I have a feeling. I really like their young guys, and of course they've got an All-American. They only have one senior on the lineup, and he doesn't play much. Aaron Maish. This is a young team that's going to get better over the course of the season. Shot clock at 5. LeConte deflected. McClure gets to it, throws it up, and Happ clears. Here comes Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, Baylor's had about 4 or 5 go in and out down the stretch, and that's just the luck of the basketball gods. Run good offense. Now can Wisconsin cut it? Remember, in the zone, middle, baseline. In the middle or the baseline. Iverson goes right to the rack. Out of bounds to Wisconsin. And Trice will check back in for Pritzel. McClure goes out for Baylor. Lindsey back in the backcourt for the Bears. 2.5 to go here in Kansas City. What a night this has been in the Hall of Fame Classic. Winner of this one will get Creighton tomorrow night. Davison.
Nice.
To Happ.
Nice.
Is that a freshman? Are you kidding?
Wow. You know, Happ was lurking. He was demanding the ball. He couldn't get it. Davison took it upon himself to get into the middle of the zone off the dribble, and Happ was perfectly placed. LeConte. And he is fouled. That's going to be 3 foul shots for Baylor. What a comeback it's been. You remember 8:59 to go. We said there was plenty of time. The precocious freshman, Brad Davison, with the big shot. Pritzel knocking it down from deep. How about Aleem Ford? Off the miss, and then half the All-American Johnny on the spot. Excellent ball movement, and the All-American finding the openings in that zone. Now, Wisconsin has been hot. They have finally found it from the field. They are getting some great play here in the second half to close the lead. They're going to look at the last bucket. It's being reviewed at the scores table to see whether this was a 2 or a 3 for LeConte. You decide. It's going to be really hard to tell from that. It's hard to tell from here, but I thought initially it was 3. Let's see if we get a better look right here. There's 1, there's 2 behind the line. And, you know, Iverson, that's what we call an era of commission. Some guys forget to do things. Some guys do them over exuberantly. That was a foul based on his effort. Hard to fault him, but he should know better because he's a junior. And that's their 3rd on Iverson. But another reason that it's a 2-point game now when it was once a 19-point lead for Baylor is the Bears have gone cold. They've missed their last 8 shots from the field. And one of the things I kept thinking about was, and it's just, you know, Jeff Van Gundy used to say, when the ball's in the air, good shot, bad shot, good shot, bad shot. Sometimes they just don't rattle in. And you don't want to say it's unlucky, but they've gotten good looks.
LeConte got all three. Oh, that touched every part of the rim on that last one. And it's back to a 5-point game. We go under 2 minutes to play.
Again, Baylor's bread and butter is this 1-1-3 zone. Wisconsin's done a better job of getting the ball inside, which
they do to half. Not for Davison. Good shot fake. Another great pass. Iverson. Second missed dunk tonight.
Oh, man, an absolute dime. You can see Davison, the anguish on his face. Still a bunch of possessions left.
Oh, and LeConte wobbled. Wisconsin thought he traveled. Instead, it's a foul.
Lamar Simpson had the view from the middle spot, and he thought the travel was caused by the foul. So take a look. You decide. There goes LeConte, and there goes Davison reaching in, slapping him on the arm. A good call. Got three veteran guys here.
That's a fourth on Davis.
That's a big one.
Tonight for LeConte. He's only missed once at the line
all season. Now you got to play comeback basketball. So you got to move the ball quickly, attack, and then get into some sort of pressure. No more possession games.
Under a minute to go.
Got to shoot it.
And Aleem Ford gets the basket to go from 3. Timeout, Wisconsin. They've got one remaining with 53.8 to go.
Excellent ball movement. They didn't take a bad shot. They worked it. Now the clock ran, but you like this right here. And then the quick timeout as Greg Gard now can set up some pressure. And at this point in time, it's got to be quick, trapping pressure, and then you got to foul sooner than later and just make this last minute a free throw contest.
Tonight, after Monday Night Football, Sports Center with SVP. He's going to break down the Legion of Boom's performance minus Richard Sherman. They're a little beat up there in Seattle. Cam Chancellor's nicked up, plus an exclusive interview with Cam Newton. And on the 5-year anniversary of the butt fumble. Yes, Katie Nolan continues the countdown. The best not top plays of all time. Sports Center at night with Scott Van Pelt on ESPN and the ESPN app. All right, Fran.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the end of game situation here. We're under a minute to go. It's a 4-point game. Baylor leads.
Well, here's what you don't want if you're Wisconsin. You don't want Manu LeConte, who's missed one free throw all year, getting the basketball. They're going to review something on the clock to see when the clock stopped. But to your point, you can't let LeConte handle the basketball. Ball goes through the net. It should stop right now. And it looks like it did. So here's the deal. If you're Baylor, who do you want to have the ball in his hands? Manu LeConte. So it's a chess match. Let's see what Scott Drew does to get LeConte open.
He's made 8 of 9 tonight.
And I'll foul anybody else in green if they catch it. Like right now, I foul Lindsey. I would not foul him. Don't let LeConte get the ball back.
Well, they do foul Omot, but I don't know, 5-6 seconds go off the clock.
And see, Nuni Omot came in making 7 of 8. That's a small sample size. Over the course of LeConte's career, we know that he's a great foul shooter. I would have fouled Jake Lindsey. He may be a coach's son, but he's 1 of 2 on the season coming in. That's why I would have said in a timeout, foul anybody but LeConte.
Big make for Iverson, has another one coming. Baylor staying in the lead at the foul line, even though they're not shooting well from the field. And Nuni Omot.
Got to play quick, and you got to shoot quick. You cannot. Time is not on your side.
6-point lead for Baylor. Iverson out of bounds. It'll stay on this end. 37.1 to go. It'll be Trice to trigger it in.
There it is.
Trice for three. Way off. Backside. Maston tried to clear it, and then it was knocked out of bounds by Iverson.
It's a tough shot, but you got to shoot that shot. You got to get one up quick. Problem shooting against Baylor is the length of that zone, and we saw it right there. See, LeConte, I would screen for Lindsey and roll back to the corner. Right there.
LeConte flashed, but they couldn't get it into him, and then Davison with the quick hand to knock it away.
And the reason they couldn't get it into him because Nuni Omot couldn't run the baseline on that dead ball, right? Had he been able to run the baseline, that would have been an easier angle, so it becomes a smart play.
They'll have to inbound from right in front of the Baylor bench.
This is not Wisconsin's specialty, pressing in the full court.
They got it to LeConte and Trice with the quick foul. Not a lot of time going off, but Baylor's going to get LeConte back on the line, and that's bad news for Wisconsin.
It is, but at this point in the game, you got to play the percentages, and you got to get the clock stopped.
Bears just hanging on here by the skin of their teeth tonight. They haven't made a field goal over 8 minutes. They haven't been able to get to the bucket because they've been being fouled, but
remember what I told you. Those shots that didn't go in the second half, they went in the first half. And sometimes the basketball gods don't smile on you when those shots roll in and out.
That's 10 points for Baylor at the line. Davison is fouled, so he'll shoot. And that's good for Wisconsin because the clock stops. 8-point lead for Baylor. Four fouls on LeConte.
You know, there were some people that thought that this young man could have played quarterback at the University of Minnesota. And I didn't see him.
Maybe he'd have been rowing the boat for P.J. Fleck.
Yeah.
But instead he's playing basketball for Greg Gard at Wisconsin.
Two pretty good options.
Pretty good options.
Yep, absolutely.
They're proud of him in Maple Grove, Minnesota, I'll tell you that much. So now the lead is 6. It's a two-possession game, 22.5 to go. They get it to LeConte again. You know, you really got to tip your hat to Omot. Able to get it into him. There were 3 Badgers around LeConte.
That's a great point. My first reaction when you said that is there's probably a reason he's passing it in. And because one of the things you do as a coach is you make non-pressure decisions. You make pressure decisions in the non-pressure time of the offseason. So when you get with your staff in August and September and you're going over late game, you go, all right, we're up 6 and we're in the CBE Classic. Who do we want inbounding against pressure? And then the staff says, you know what? I think the best guy is Nuni Omot. Let's just say, for example. So there's a reason he's inbounding that ball, and that's good coaching.
So LeConte, he's just missed 1 foul shot all year. He's the guy
great.
they wanted to stripe. I didn't jinx him.
No, you didn't. He came in, gosh, 18 for 18.
And he's 12 for 13 tonight. Brad Davison has fouled out with 13 points.
That's 30 of 31, I think.
Happ will slam it down with the right hand. And Wisconsin calls its last timeout.
Miracle time. Miracle time. And by the way, Greg Gard's still going to coach this situation because this situation will happen a number of times during the season.
$15 seconds to go. Let's go to the studio for an update.
All right, Clay, just a reminder as well, coming up less than 8 minutes from now on ESPN2, Joel Berry and North Carolina looking to improve to 11-0 all-time versus Stanford, as Sean Farnham along with Dave Pasch will have the call. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot. You can see Creighton over UCLA earlier tonight, Fran. We had a lot of fun calling that one. We'll see Creighton again tomorrow. Looks like they are going to play Baylor, barring, Wisconsin flurry here in the final seconds. UCLA will play the loser of this game tomorrow afternoon here in Kansas City. And that Creighton team was impressive, really.
Absolutely. And we talked to Greg McDermott. He wants to get the tempo of the game up and down. He did it tonight. Tomorrow night, a different challenge because they're going to see this 1-1-3 zone that has some holes in it, and especially when you think of the skill of the Creighton offense. So that's a 5-second call.
Omat this time couldn't get it in. Great defense there by Wisconsin, shielding the inbounds players. That's a 5-second call. Badgers take over. Down 2 possessions. And they turn it right back to Lindsay. Mistake there by Wisconsin in the backcourt. Wow.
They threw it in, and Dimitri Trice didn't go after the ball, and he and Ethan Happ are having a discussion about that right now. That was a little bit strange.
And those are the 2 veteran guys for Wisconsin, which is a little more head scratching. Again, they lost so much. Those are the 2 guys that come back from last year's team.
Let's watch what happened, because here's the inbound, and usually they throw it to Happ, and obviously they miscommunicated because now Trice can't come in and touch it. So Trice thought Happ was going to catch it. He come behind for the 3. Miscommunication.
Now Lindsay got 1 or 2, and that's enough to make it a 3-possession game. Trice stay on this end with 5.6 seconds to go.
Well, they don't always look pretty. Baylor looked terrific for about 31 minutes. And give Wisconsin credit. Really good comeback, young team.
They were down 19 at one point. And Aleem Ford knocks down the 3. Back to a 4-point game. And LeConte will go back to the line to ice this thing. This is the Sprint Center here in Kansas City. Baylor's going to be here again in March for the Big 12 tournament. They've never won the Big 12 tournament. As you know, Fran, you've covered that for many years. They are 8-9 all time in this building, ready to go to 9-9 here at the Sprint Center in Kansas City.
It's one of the great, to me, the best postseason tournament, because it's always in one place. Usually it's been in the Sprint Center many times. Incredible crowds. And that's rare. And what we've seen 3 of the last 4 years is the Iowa State Cyclones have closed down Ames and set up Hilton South here at the Sprint Center.
That does it. Great second half for Wisconsin, but Scott Drew's Baylor Bears go to 4-0. And Wisconsin 2-2 on the year now. The Baylor Bears will play Creighton tomorrow night. Coming up next on ESPN2, North Carolina and Stanford. Right now we send it to the studio. John Brickley, Seth Greenberg, and the College Basketball Hall of Famer, Jay Williams.